morning, everybody. It's Scott here from Woke Societies, and it's been some time since I've recorded an episode. I think it was Monday that I last recorded. I've been absolutely slammed at work, but I am here today to give you guys an awesome episode that you're going to want to watch the whole thing. I'm telling you right now. We're going to be talking about all these deep state actors, all the Spygate actors. This whole entire plan that Q's been talking about for over the last 2 years now. It's starting to slowly, it's getting there, but we are getting there. It's starting to slowly all come together, and we are seeing legitimate panic from all these actors. And guys, we're going to be getting into all that news. We're going to be getting into General Flynn. We're going to be getting into Clapper. We're also going to be getting, the main crux of this episode is going to be mostly about the deep state, but we're going to be talking about also this FBI drop in the FBI vault about this DC cult that are called the Finders, and it's creepy stuff, guys. It's really creepy stuff, and we're gonna see how the CIA again had their hands into something totally corrupt and evil, and it's gonna blow your minds. It's gonna really blow your minds. So my only shout out for myself, guys, that I like to do in the beginning and end of each episode, please go to Woke Societies here at my channel right here. Hit that subscribe button. Move this over real quick. Hit that subscribe button and just give me a like, give me a share on this episode, guys. We know YouTube and Google and Twitter, everywhere else, they're censoring this content. I need you guys to help me share it just by hitting that share button. Tell your friends and family about this content. Tell them about this channel. It's growing on every platform that I have it on right now. We are at almost 2,000 subs, guys. I wanted to hit 1,000 by the end of the year. We are clearly killing that goal right now. And let's get that 2,000. I need 20 more subs, so let's get there, guys. Really appreciate the support. Thank you for supporting independent media. So, let's jump into the first article here. And a lot of Gateway Pundit today. So let's, I'm not going to go read each article. I'm only going to pick out the parts that, that are summarizing. And I'm going to give you guys the grander picture at the end of all this. So, Bill Barr has pulled the trigger and altered the landscape. The deep state does not truly understand the peril they now face. And now, guys, you probably heard it by now that the Durham investigation is not just a investigation of the investigators. It is now turned into a criminal investigation. And this was reported yesterday. So this changes everything, guys. This absolutely changes everything, because now Durham can now get a grand jury. They can issue subpoenas. And now, if these FBI, CIA operatives, even the politicians, they now lie, they can now be charged with obstructing justice and also accrue criminal penalties as well. So right here it says, I do not believe in coincidence. I do not believe that it is a mere coincidence that these three events occurred late last night. The investigation of the roots of the plot to destroy Donald Trump and his presidency is now a criminal matter. A letter from Inspector General Horowitz announcing that his report on the FISA fraud would be out shortly with no major redactions. And the government caved to Honey Badger Sidney Powell and allowed her to fully expose criminal conduct by Michael Flynn's prosecutors. What is going on? 2 words. Bill Barr, the Attorney General, has pulled the trigger and altered the landscape in the Russiagate saga. Having been granted full authority by the President to declassify information, including intel from the CIA and the NSA, he has now acted in a powerful but low-key way. The announcement that this is now a criminal investigation means that anyone, including the FBI agents and CIA officers who try to hold back information or hide information, will be vulnerable to obstruction of justice charges, criminal justice attached. Bill Barr is a spine of steel and plays by the book. He does not color outside the lines. I do not think the deep state fully understands or appreciates the depth of peril they now face. The lies and the withholding of key documents that have been common practice for the last 2.5 years will come to a screeching halt. And now, guys, as soon as these articles are dropping that this is now becoming a criminal investigation, with not even within a day, you're seeing Brennan, Clapper, and others clearly nervous and clearly now on the defense, because Bill Barr and Durham are coming after him now. And it's going to be good. And you see articles like this on the Federalist. All the Russia collusion clues are beginning to point back to John Brennan. Last week, NBC News reported that Justice Department's probe into the origins of the Russia collusion investigation is now focusing on the CIA and the intelligence community. NBC News soft-pedaled the significant development by giving former CIA Director John Brennan a platform. And you guys, the video's out there. It's on one of my episodes where Brennan's just casually talking about, oh yeah, I guess I'm just going to be investigated now. But really not seeming like to him it was a big deal. This is in the public eye, of course. And it says right here, John Brennan was given a platform and he did the interview to call the probe bizarre and question the legal basis for the investigation. Politico soon joined the spin effort, branding the investigation Attorney General William Barr and assigned to Connecticut U.S. Attorney John Durham Trump's vengeance. And that is how the media is spinning this, of course. It's not about the facts. It's not about the truth. It's not about that the CIA and the FBI and the Obama administration were actively spying on Trump's campaign and trying to dethrone a sitting president. They're going to ignore all those facts and just say this is just a personal vendetta that Trump wants vengeance. However, if the media reports are true and Barr and Durham have turned their focus to Brennan and the intelligence community, it is not a matter of vengeance. It is a matter of connecting the dots. And that's all this is. In congressional testimony and reports, leaks, and media spin, and facts exposed during the 3 years of panting about supposed Russia collusion, and it all started with Brennan. But as the special counsel Robert Mueller report made clear, it wasn't merely Papadopoulos' barroom boast at issue. It was a series of contacts between Trump campaign officials and individuals with ties to the Russian government that the DOJ and the FBI and later the special counsel's office investigated. And who put the FBI onto those supposedly suspicious contacts? Former CIA Director John Brennan. And guys, a lot of this stuff you may already know, which is fine. And there's a lot more to this article here. But now all eyes again are pointing to Brennan. And it's not just Brennan. We have not forgotten about General Flynn. And this was breaking just 2 days ago. Flynn lawyers revealed FBI attorney Lisa Page edited Flynn FBI 302 report, then lied to the DOJ about edits. This is huge, guys, because now we're seeing the CIA that's under fire, and now we're really seeing the FBI. At the time, the agents that were working under Comey are also now coming under fire, big time. Former FBI lawyer Lisa Page edited General Mike Flynn's 302 report, then lied to the DOJ about the edits. General Flynn's lawyer Sidney Powell filed a motion on Thursday night revealing that General Flynn was indeed set up by the FBI with an ambush, damaging leaks and altered 302 reports. A 302 summary report consists of contemporaneous notes taken by an FBI agent when interviewing a subject. Lisa Page, special counsel to Deputy Director McCabe, resigned. She edited Mr. Flynn's 302 and was part of a small high-level group that strategically planned his ambush, the filing said. The Page didn't recall whether she took part in editing the FDO 302, the filing stated. Upon seeing her text, she believes she must have seen it at some point. There you go, guys. She got caught lying, and not only that, she is now the face of the FBI that was railroading General Flynn. And this is why Q is saying, don't worry about General Flynn. It's all part of the plan. This is a big movie, guys. And pretty much we've stayed cozy with General Flynn. That's another term that all these anons have been using. He's been sitting comfy, cozy, whatever you want to call it. And there's nothing to worry about because the Patriots already knew this. They already knew all this, and they knew it was going to come out at some point. But the best part is here, the filing also revealed that James Clapper was most likely the leaker of Flynn's phone call with Kislik to WAPO's David Ignatius. It's unbelievable, and we're going to see James Clapper in just a moment. Included in a tweet by Technofrog is a discussion between Lisa Page and her paramour Peter Strzok talking about editing Flynn's 302 report. Strzok to Page, who we know they were lovers, I made your edits. Also discussion of misleading leadership picking up 302. And the manipulation of Flynn 302 took place a couple weeks after the initial interview. The special agent notes that Flynn wasn't sure he spoke to Kislik on the UN vote. The 302 says different. And it says those changes added an unequivocal statement that Flynn stated that he did not in response to whether Mr. Flynn and asked Kielsak to vote in a certain manner or slow down the UN vote. This is a deceptive manipulation because, as the notes of the agents show, Mr. Flynn was not even sure he had spoken to Russian Kislyak on this issue. Congressional investigators have long suspected the 302 summary notes on Flynn were altered to make it appear he was lying. Now we know for sure Lisa Page, at the direction of McCabe and Stroud, edited Flynn's 302 report, so when are we going to see indictments? There it is, guys. General Flynn is going to be okay. He's going to be coming out of this unscathed. And Flynn had to do this, guys. He had to go through all this. This was all part of the plan. He had to take all these arrows, and I know this is part of the bigger plan with Q and Trump and everybody. He had to take these arrows and go through this to expose Lisa Page and the FBI. Because this is, again, all going to come into this big crescendo, and it's going to blast open the doors to a lot of people's minds of what they really think about the FBI and the CIA and all these deep state actors that were trying to overthrow Trump. And again, just more tweets here from Technofrog. Lisa Page lied to the DOJ about her edits to Flynn. Page didn't recall whether she took part in editing FD302. She couldn't remember. Upon seeing her text, she believes she must have seen it at some point. And right here, Page didn't recall whether she took part in editing the 302 of the Flynn interview, but upon seeing a text message and the email on 2/10/2017, she believes she must have seen it at some point in the process. So right there, guys, she got caught lying. And just one more. This is when it was breaking. Sidney Powell filing in the Flynn case. Lisa Page edited the Flynn 302, and James Clapper told the WAPO reporter Ignatius to basically take the kill shot on Flynn. Let's see if we could find it here. Yep, there's the one we just talked about. And right here, the defense has requested the phone records of James Clapper to confirm his contacts with the Washington Post reporter Ignatius, especially on January 10th, 2017, when Clapper told Ignatius in words to the effect of take the kill shot on Flynn. And speaking of James Clapper, this was just yesterday, and he's doing an interview here on CNN. And it reads right here, "You're going down, Clapper. Sean Hannity opened his show on Thursday, tonight, with breaking news. Attorney General Bill Barr says prosecutor John Durham's investigation is now a criminal investigation. The New York Times reported that DOJ Durham probe has shifted from an administration review of the Russian investigation to a criminal inquiry. Also last night, attorney Sidney Powell dropped the General Flynn court documents. The news was devastating for Obama's former Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, who was connected to the felony leak of General Flynn's discussion with the Russian Kislyak before President Trump's 2017 inauguration. Clapper looked a bit nervous and confused when he went on CNN, where he is a contributor, to discuss this latest development in the attempted coup of President Donald Trump." Now take a look, guys. Tell me, what do you guys think? Do you think he looks a little nervous here? Let's watch. Well, Mr. Clapper, I can answer that for you. It's called, right here, sedition and treason when you try to overthrow a sitting U.S. president. That is what the criminal content is. That's what Durham's talking about. He knows this. He's not gonna soil himself in front of CNN. He knows what's coming, And he's already thrown Obama under the bus because he said before in other videos that he was simply taking orders from Obama, his president at the time. He knows he's screwed. And this is just one of them, guys. This is going to include James Comey. This is going to include all these guys. Everyone was so upset when James Comey got off scot-free about leaking FBI memos. But I told you guys in the past, they're not going to nail... This plan is too important and too big to nail these big fish with these little charges. When the hammer drops, it's going to have to be over-encompassing everybody with evidence that no one can dispute, and they're going to nail them all at the same time. This is why it's been taking forever. While we need to continue to be patient. But you see it in the video, guys. He is playing the dumb card. You can see it. He's nervous as hell, and he's like, I don't really know what the criminal I don't know why there would be a criminal investigation. That's news to me. You know, you could see he's playing it off, but it's just hilarious. And just a few more articles, guys. Hunter Biden's been involved in the headlines again, because not only is he dealing with corrupt stuff in Ukraine, now it's Romania, and just like Rudy Giuliani previously teased that the Hunter Biden's Romania scandal would be surfacing, and here we are. The Biden crime family scandal just expanded from Ukraine and China into Romania. In 2016, the final year of the Obama administration, Hunter Biden traveled to Romania to meet with a shady real estate tycoon who was accused of orchestrating a corrupt land deal. And that's a whole other article here, which we're not going to get into. But again, Joe Biden's talking about here, says the children won't have offices in the White House, which is funny because not only is his children will never have offices in the White House, he's not going to either. And again, he's still saying Biden also spoke about his own son Hunter's business dealings in Ukraine. He insists Hunter did nothing wrong. Well, why are these articles keep coming up? Hunter Biden's legal work in Romania raises new questions about his overseas dealings. And where's Hunter, guys? Has anyone seen Hunter Biden? I haven't. And where's Obama? Where's Obama in all this stuff? Because you haven't heard a word from him either. The last time I've seen Obama was just at, the funeral for the late Cummings in Maryland. He was there. I didn't see Michelle there. And, they had this huge eulogy with Hillary and, all these corrupt people, and they all look absolutely miserable. They look miserable. And I know they're at a funeral, but still, they look like they know something big is coming. And guys, the last piece of news here. Nope, we're almost there. Before we get into the cult stuff, so just hang on, guys, because the cult stuff is going to blow your minds. It's crazy. So, Andrew McCabe, who we knew was fired, I think back in 2018, he drops his wrongful termination case against the DOJ, and the timing of this is what's the most important part. Fired Deputy Director of the FBI, Andrew McCabe, suddenly dropped his wrongful termination case on Friday. Andrew McCabe was fired back in March 2018. This comes after it was announced Thursday that Attorney General Barr announced the John Durham probe is now a criminal investigation. So guys, this was announced that, again, Durham's probe is now criminal investigation, and the next day, former director of the FBI, Andrew McCabe, dropped his wrongful termination case on Friday. He knows he's screwed. These guys are all going down, and we're getting closer and closer and closer. So, to sum this all up, get your popcorn ready. 4 different reports released last night indicate the days ahead will be devastating for the deep state. We have the FISA report. The first event report is that the DOJ IG's FISA report is about to be released, and that could be any day. They've been saying that for weeks now, guys. You already know that. We knew this was eventually going to come out. The news overnight is that the report will be released publicly with few redactions. We had 2. AJ Barr and John Durham's investigations into deep state crimes. Last night, we also received word that AJ's Barr Justice Department reviewing the actions of deep state players before and after 2016 election by John Durham has turned into a criminal investigation. That's number 2. And 3, Sidney Powell's filing regarding General Flynn's case. We also found out late last night, Sidney Powell is aware of numerous documents and actions by Obama's deep state that have been withheld from General Flynn that are damning to the government's case. These are so damning that she is asking the court to dismiss the case against Flynn altogether. We also learned from General Flynn's attorney Powell that Obama's Director National of Intelligence, James Clapper, was involved in the felony release of General Flynn's phone call with a Russian diplomat before 2017. And again, recent reports regarding Obama VP Biden's pay-for-play scandals. We also learned last night that Joe Biden, during the time he was Obama's VP, partook in actions resulting in payments to him and his son Hunter. These payments go beyond Ukraine and China. Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani claimed previously that Biden was suspect of a pay-for-play scandal in Romania. Huge stuff, guys. This is all coming out this past week. All this stuff. A lot of it we already knew, but now people can't escape it. They cannot escape the news. And even the New York Times, they won't even let me because they want me to pay for a subscription, which I'll never pay for this fake news. Justice Department is said to open criminal inquiry into its own Russian investigation. Even the fake news media outlets, guys, cannot help but report on this. And why are people in panic, guys? Another reason. We saw this. It was breaking. Former FBI General Counsel James Baker has reportedly flipped and is now cooperating with the Barr Durham investigation into the origins of the Russia investigation. And what did Q say, guys, back in 2018? Remember, this came out yesterday. Q posted on September 11, 2018, James Baker testifying against James Comey. Panic in D.C., James Baker testifying against Comey, and that's a question, Q. Can't tell me that Q doesn't know what's going on. You can't tell me. They are dropping posts years in advance before they actually come out to the masses and the mainstream medias. It's all right there. These guys are all flipping on each other, guys. All of them. They're all flipping on each other, and now, since Durham and Barr are ending their investigation out in Italy, which is where the origins of all this stuff was happening, it's all coming together, and it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. All right. So, the last part of this episode, guys, which is insane. This could end up being multiple episodes because of the amount of documents that is involved with this. So, the FBI yesterday dropped into their vault for the public to see a PDF file called The Finders, Part 1 of 1. And there's over 364 pages of this, guys. And I'm going to give you the summary of it because it's large. It's very big. So this is about a cult called the Finders. It started out in the 60s. This is when it was originally documented that they were a real thing. And it was in Virginia and around the D.C. area. So I wrote some notes here just to give you a summary. So let me just take a look. So pretty much how this cult was discovered was there was a routine traffic stop in Tallahassee. A police officer pulled over a van out in Tallahassee, and in the van were 2 men wearing suits and 6 children. And these 6 children were, they were neglected, and a couple of them you could see that were also sexually abused. The whole story was that these 2 men, who were clearly not the parents of these children either, these 2 men told the officers that they were bringing these children to Mexico because they weren't special needs, but they had special abilities. You know, they needed to go to a special school down in Mexico, and that is why they were brilliant children. That's what I'm trying to say, and they were trying to go down to Mexico. So, end up finding that these 2 guys got arrested for kidnapping and a bunch of other things, but the investigators wanted to find out who these parents of these children were. Where are they? And they ended up tracking these children back, the parents, to the DC area, and it all came back to this cult called the Finders. And pretty much it's just like any other cult, guys. They have a leader, and it's eerily similar to NXIVM, where they would have women have these children, have these babies, and pretty much the main thing of this cult were to have the children would be handed over to the cult leader and the other procurers, and they'd be basically allowed to do whatever they want to these children, and they would be taken away from the families, and the families were okay with this. And the parents signed off on it. And let me see here. So that's where this whole thing had started, where they caught wind of this cult. They had no idea what this cult was until this was tracked back down to these parents, and they realized, wow, these parents are giving their kids over to this cult here. So I think it was page 43 here. Let me just take a look. Let's see. Now I can't find it, of course. Let me see here. Yeah, right here. The TBT determined that these two men belonged to a group known as the Finders based in Washington, D.C. As a result, information developed by the TBD during the traffic stop. They contacted the Washington Metropolitan Police. They developed information subsequently utilized to obtain a search warrant for a warehouse and a residence located in Washington, D.C. owned by the Finders. U.S. Customs, they looked into all this as well. There was floppy disk seized. You could tell how old this was because they seized floppy disk. But the weird thing was, guys, this is where it started getting weird. The original police department that found all this information, this stuff is redacted. Also advised, let's read this. Also advised that he had been told that documentation had been located in the WMPD files to indicate that Sergeant John Steicher, who is now deceased, I don't know when he died, who had been a sergeant during the finder search, had been contacted by blank, who had told him to step away from the Finders case. So somebody had contacted these sergeants at the time, the police department, and was told to drop this case. And when I hear that, guys, I automatically think of CIA. There's got to be a higher government entity that knew they were that this cult was being looked at, and they were contacted to drop the case, and this man died. Very strange. So let's look, guys, at this compound this was a sketch here. This was the compound in the DC area that they found, and this used to be a preschool from what I could research here, and it was turned into a hellish nightmare. You could see some here in the sketches. These were classrooms here. If you could see my mouse, you have a tunnel and another tunnel outside that would go underground. And you hear that, guys. It's like, dear Lord, what was going on in these places? And you could see here, the tunnel is found at the McMartin Preschool. You have a 45-foot tunnel, 9 foot wide. It's massive. And it was the entrance found under the west wall, and what they called the dog room. And there was a 7-foot tunnel extended into the triplex next door. And this was a tunnel extended from the bathrooms of the office into classroom 1 to the yard of the. So, guys, it was just connecting bathrooms. There's doors from the bathrooms and the classrooms to go into these underground tunnels. And not only that, when you look at these pages here, it says other significant facts. A small white plastic plate with 3 pentagrams hand-drawn on top of light green paint was found by the archaeologists in the stratified dirt in the play yard. Per historical archaeologists, pentagrams were hand-drawn by an adult and not part of the manufacturer's design. Many other artifacts found whose analysis will be released upon completion of tests. No doorknobs were on the classroom 3 door, only a deadlock bolt, which sounds like a prison. Each classroom had an on and off light switch labeled fire alarm. Systems did not connect to the fire station. That's not a surprise. More than 2,000 artifacts were found under the school floor, including over 100 animal bones. So, guys, what does that scream? You're seeing pentagrams. You're seeing animal bones. This is satanic, ritualistic cult stuff, guys. And we've seen this before. We've seen this with the Epstein cases. We've seen this in multiple cases involving children. They're all connected eerily the same way. So you have that going on there. And let me just look, because I wrote down what pages I wanted to look at. Let's see. I think it's 63 here. This kind of gives a summary of the report from the investigator that looked at all this stuff. It's crazy stuff, guys. So this is the report by the investigator in the DC area. It is the writer's belief that the Finders organization is and has been utilized by the Central Intelligence Agency. Right there. He calls out the CIA as a disinformation service spreading non-essential, non-critical information to various organizations throughout the United States and overseas. This group, to the most part, is made up of overeducated non-achievers who lack the inborn initiative to succeed on their own. Therefore, they fell in with a charismatic leader who gave them direction and self-importance. To the most part, this organization individually is harmless. However, so when directed and monitored by a controlling factor, Let me get that out of here. Controlling factor, they are capable of destructive and illegal activities. As in any cult structure, the main drive is for the group and individual values and ideology is lost. Therefore, when a member is asked to perform a task that heretofore may have an objectionable, he or she performs this mission for the good of the group. As to the abuse of the children, I do not think that child abuse is a planned tactic of this group, but as in any cross-section of society, sick and demented subjects belong to a cult as well. I do believe that the shaping of the children is a planned experiment of this group. As in the case of the Nazis, they strove for a perfect society, thereby in their own way tried to form a group of children and ultimately adults that did not suffer from the ills of normal society, but took only the benefits that afforded them perfection. And lastly, I do not feel that the finders have disbanded as reported by their leaders, but be instead, as reported in their master plan, have appeared to disband to prevent further detection by law enforcement or social service officials. I firmly believe that this group should be monitored in a general sense, and if further developments occur, they should be noted. Crazy stuff, guys. So again, right here, they talk about the CIA being involved with this, and possibly even funding them. Who knows? Well, we've seen this before. These three-letter agencies, total, complete corruption. And the last thing I want to show you guys here, it's page 125. This was a direct write-up of the encounter of the officers that met the two men in the van with the children. So this writer spoke to suspect number 1, who stated that he and suspect number 2 were teachers from Washington, D.C., and they were en route to Mexico with the children. Suspect 1 stated that they were going to Mexico to set up a school for brilliant children. When asked about the parents of the children, suspect number 1 became very evasive and stated that the children's parents were in Washington, D.C. Suspect 2 refused to give this writer any information and pretended to faint when he told he was under arrest for child abuse. Suspect number 2 fell face down on the ground and refused to stand up. He was carried by this writer and 2 other law enforcement officers and placed into a patrol vehicle. The suspects were transported to the Tallahassee Police Department by this writer, and his name's there, to be interviewed by them, and the children were also transported to the police department, and then their names were redacted. They were extremely hungry. This is the children when they got to the police department, and then also the children stated that they hadn't eaten since this morning. The children appeared as if they were... I can't even read this. They hadn't eaten in days, and in several days, and most of them didn't have any underwear on. The older children stated that they have to do good things to get food, and as a reward, they are given oranges, bananas, carrots, and raw potatoes to eat. Terrible stuff, guys. Absolutely terrible stuff. And the other suspect refused to talk, and it keeps going and on, how they had to give reward. They were given rewards if they were to perform certain acts and all that stuff. So we're gonna dig more into this, guys. There's over 300 documents in this drop by the FBI, and who knows, more could be coming up. But again, this was a cult located right in the DC area, and the investigation stopped in the 90s. And the investigator said right there, he believes this is a CIA backed group who say they were disbanded, but they're just trying to, get away from the police, from law enforcement. So they said they were, but they're really not. So just another example, guys. This stuff is real, and it all connects to the satanic ritual stuff with the pentagrams and the animal sacrifices and all this stuff. It's all related. So with that, guys, that's going to be the end of today's episode. So again, if you haven't, please go to my channel and subscribe. Just hit that share button, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, get the content out there, support independent media, because no one else is going to report on this stuff. So we're going to keep eyes and ears open. Check out the Q shirt that my wife bought. Very nice. And we're just going to see what the news brings to us for the rest of the week. This past week has been crazy. And stay safe out there, guys. And until then, stay woke.